marketer are still not familiar with TikTok. Or brand takes over. Hashtag challenge. But I have been receiving a lot of inquiries from friends. Yeah, they have all been asking me to look into TikTok. Yeah, it is as good. But I think the challenge is they don't understand it. So in terms of the reporting and all this is
Shall we mic test or anything?
so let me get my drink.
Yes. Okay, Eugene mic test. Can? Right.
Jace is here. Jace from CreativesAtWork. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Eugene from IMS.
Yeah.
IMSEOK. What does that mean? Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
IMSEOK.
Ben from SmilingAlfro. All this is off when you get my.
So what's
Okay.
your handle? What's your Instagram handle? Oh, just okay.
Yeah, mine
okay.
is imseoking.com.
I see.
But cannot say .com, so just
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, hi Eugene, I am SEOKing. Mic test.
This is Jace from CreativesAtWork. Can you hear me? Mic test.
Ben is SmilingAlfro.
This is Junior. Good morning. Welcome to the Rise of the Gig Economy. No lah, that one got the black
Wrapping.
color.
Okay.
A very good
Okay.
morning, and thank each and every one of you for joining us on a beautiful Saturday morning. This is the first of 3 panel sessions today, where this weekend anchors fulfilling work in the entire 27 different panel sessions that we're having. Yeah. So today, I'm very happy to be introducing my wonderful panelists. And today's title is really the rise of the gig economy, specifically what that means to you. Because I do have people telling me, Julia, gig means what? Nah? So do type in your questions throughout, and we will be answering them as we go along. Yeah. So the first panelist on my extreme right will be Eugene. He is known as I am SEOKing, a digital specialist, right? That's and I think your title says it all. I am SEOKing lah, so you all know whom to look for. And then we have the very lovely Jace Tam, who is the co-founder of CreativesAtWork, which is an agency that basically starts freelancing. How many years ago, Jace?
Well, we started in 2012, so it has been we are going to our 10th year anniversary soon.
10-year anniversary soon. Yeah. And then we have the SmilingAlfro. So typically, you all know him as the SmilingAlfro. His hair is real, 100% real.
100%.
And just like he entirely is. And his real name is Benjamin Byrne, yeah? So I think each of these 3 persons were selected because of the different industries and the different experiences they will be bringing to this entire panel session. And with that, let's start, okay? And you would know me, the founder of Mumspace, right? Junior. So, yeah, so if we were to start, right, I think I want to talk about what's the definition of the gig economy. So Eugene, how would you explain the gig economy to a stay-at-home mother? You know, someone who is like thinking of coming out by herself?
Well, I think for a gig economy, it's basically in the most simplest definition, it will be make money online. But however, this industry has been quite spoiled by a lot of people. So that is also one of the reasons why I kind of came out to teach what is the proper way to set up website and things like that. So with making money online comes the flexibility of time whereby you can accept gigs. In its simplest form, gigs can be defined as doing design for companies, whether it is social media, doing a poster, doing an event poster, doing some promotions, right? So in essence, gig economy is something that a mom can plan her time to do certain gigs when her baby is sleeping. You know, that is like, oh, finally, you know, there's some peace. Maybe I can do some stuff, you know. Yeah, so basically it's something like that. And as we go into the conversation, I'm very happy to have my fellow panelists. So for me, I'm more the teaching of digital marketing and stuff like that. We have wonderful Jace here beside me, CreativesAtWork. She's where the community is, because mom doing this alone, she's not sure certain thing, and that's where communities come in to really rally around you and support you. And you know, our SmilingAlfro.
Yeah, I'm a proud mother also. Yeah.
He looks
Just
like a mother, but he basically comes with it, like, you know, like the content marketing bit and all that, which is important. Yeah.
Actually, you brought up a very important point that I want to focus on. I think when we talk about the gig economy, typically there's 2, right? The mom who wants to sell my own things online, whether it's my own home baking stuff, but the other one, right, where I am pitching to, so then for this, I'm my own employer. But for this, right, I am actually being employed by either a company or by someone else. So I think these 2 are very, very different, yeah? So gig would really be the project work. It is literally like once the project is over, it's over. Just similar to this summit, right? This summit lasts for 3 weekends, and then once it's over, Mumspace will still be around, but the summit is on recording, yeah, something like that. And Jace, if you will explain, right, what is the gig economy probably to a working mother? How is it relevant? Let's say I have a full-time job. How is it relevant for me?
Thanks a lot. Hi everyone, I'm Jace. Thank you, Eugene, for the promotions. Just on record, I never pay him. So it's really come from the bottom of his heart. But anyway, hi everyone, I'm Jace. I'm from CreativesAtWork. Just a little bit of background for those who doesn't know us, right? Why we are doing this and why Junior actually asked the question and pointed at me. So basically, CreativesAtWork, we are a network of creative media freelancers. So basically, we are in the job, we're in the placement positions where we actually help freelancers to source for job opportunities with clients and also doing project management for our clients. So going back to Jonah's question about the gig economy, and I think Eugene has done a very good job in terms of explaining what it is. So I guess it's everyone probably by now know a little bit about what gig economy is and how it functions. Short-term job, very specific deliverable base, right? But for us, I think I don't really see this. Oh, is this a gig economy? Is this freelance economy and all this, right? So those are just terms, that you just Google and you'll probably find out a lot of literature on that. But I think for us, really, it's more of an evolution of jobs, right? So going back to working mom, what does this mean, right? So I think if you look at how technology advances, and actually we don't really need to look very far away, over the last 2 years, what happened to us, right? The transformation that every one of us is going through, whether it's in our personal life, in our work, in the way that we deal with people, are just tremendous, right? It just kind of changed overnight, right? How things are being done, how things are to be conducted. So to me, I think what actually is installed for probably working mothers, even stay-at-home mother, is really how do you take control over what you want to do for your career, right? Especially for working mothers, right? I think taking control, taking accountability of what you want to do, where you want to be, how you want to do it is actually the empowerment that the gig economy / freelance economy, future economy actually gave, empowered to each one individual in their own career path.
Actually, you brought a good point, right? Like right now, right? After a mom, after working, right? She's tired and all that, but she can just get on a Zoom call and find out what her freelance clients need, right? So it's like the technology is just there.
But of course, I must say it's also a balancing act, right? Because a lot of people also come and complain, I have Zoom back to back, right? But then how do I manage it, right? Because I need to take time off and so on. So I think it goes back to taking control of your own life as well, right? Knowing when not to be burnt out, right? Knowing what is how to organize your work around your life so that it doesn't get blurred, right? In that sense.
And actually, with what you're saying, right, I want to point that actually this gig economy, we had many terms for it in the past, right? Whether it's contract work or freelancing work. It's just that I think with this new term that's coined, this gig economy, it gives a certain definition and boundary to for a lot of people to understand the nature, how it is. So instead of 9 to 5 and probably 1 year, now it's very much shorter, project basis.
Yeah.
And I think why I brought it up for working moms is while a working mom may have a full-time job, we can also begin to do our side hustle, so to speak, right? I know of a lot of moms who say, Junior, my side gig is giving me more income than my full-time job. And it's a very good transition because with that, right, they are exploring, are my skill sets good enough to actually be paid for that? Yeah. So moms, that is one angle for you. And then now with you, Ben, right?
Yes.
How would you make the gig economy conversation relevant to the millennial? So, for the individual who say, I don't want to get good grades. I just want to come out and work soon.
Right. So, yes, hi guys. My name is Ben again. I'm the SmilingAlfro. Basically, I'm a content creator and I run my own business, creating content for clients, mainly for marketing. And yeah, so I've been actually before this year, I never used the word gig economy. I only found out about the word gig economy this year, But I've always said freelance. I mean, everyone understood it's just freelance, right? Contract work and contract basis. But yeah, I guess for how I make the conversation relevant to a millennial is basically, actually, what I've been telling a lot of my friends or a lot of my young people that I meet, right? It's like, well, do you have a skill, right? Do you have a skill that you can sell? Or, like whether it's creating something, it's baking, it's cooking, it's designing, it's drawing, do you have a skill? Then I think it's a waste if you do not market it or use it to gain income, right? So same for anybody, right? Mothers or not, right? If you have a skill that you have a bit of time that you can use to produce something through it for other people, fellow humans, right? Why not? Just use it and earn some money from it. It can be as simple as sewing, right?
And And I think it's so different because in the yesteryears, we used to flip the papers and then you would have to go for employment. You know, the entire, how do I say, employment process was a lot longer. But today, literally, like what you say, if I have a skill set, I just post my cookies or my portfolio, whether if I'm an artist, online, and immediately I connect, right? The internet has really connected the buyer, the seller, so seamlessly.
Exactly.
And with that, I think it's really the rise of the entrepreneur, where increasingly, right, there's an encouragement of creativity, entrepreneurship. So Eugene, will you be able to share, right? For many of us, we are used to employment, the security, the stability, the same job description. But when we talk about the gig economy or an entrepreneur, what is one mindset shift we need to start to embrace and adopt?
I think this is a very interesting topic because it's very close to my heart. Because last time when I was employed, I decided to kind of just resign based on the fact that I've only got a $5,000 project. And I was back then, I was working in NCS as a programmer. And I got a project for like a student management system for 5K. And then I just tendered the resignation, not having a solid plan, you know, not having future customers. It's only this customer. So I would say it's resilience. That's the main thing, because you can plan whatever you want, but things sometimes doesn't happen the way you want.
What made you resign? You only had one gig for 5,000 for 1 month or for quite a few months?
It was just a one-off 5K.
So what were you like? You know, you didn't have responsibilities because today you are a father of two, right? And what made you like, you know, decide to give up? Were you upset, not very happy in your job, or?
I guess it's more about wanting more fulfillment, where I thought that running your own business can. So here are some of the points that I learned, right? I actually took a very big risk to resign. So, I mean, like having said, come back to the earlier conversation of posting your social media on, you know, posting your cookies on social media, right? I mean, if you are working full time and you want to get into this cookie business, what you can do is like social media really is an amazing opportunity where you can just post on social media. If nobody, you don't get the result, never mind, okay, just move on, you know. But if you get the result, then you give some sampling and all that, then you can have kind of like sense the market. What I didn't do was I didn't sense the market. I didn't plan my business well, and I had no network. So on hindsight, these three things could have done better, right? But then having said that, I ran and moved and did my business for 9 years, not having a plan.
So from that one $5,000 gig, and then after you completed that, you got another and another and another.
Not immediate. So it was like the $5,000 you were doing for 8 months or 5,000. Then you have another second. So looking on hindsight, in the safety of employment, whatever that you feel your passion is, as what you know, Ben shared, many ways in which you can make money. But I think what you can do is you can simply use social media to test your idea, right? And basically, we need to have a response. And also, having said that, being part of a community helps, like what Jess was sharing. You know, you've got a community of designers, and then you realize that, you know, web design, I only charge $300, whereas you know,
by the way, not only just designers, we have writers, we have videographers, content creators, etc.
So it's an amazing community that she has built over time. I guess having a community helps, because you will realize that you're not alone, because entrepreneur journey is like, you know, quite a struggle, if you put it, right?
I love what you share about you starting out alone, and you know, you literally were in the ocean swimming and you are a survivor, right? And from your experience, thank you for being so humble and sharing it, authentically sharing it with us, so that we don't have to go that route, right? So Jace, I want to ask you, right, you know, for some stay-at-home moms or transitioning moms, stay at home for so many years, now the kids are older, and I want to begin to come out. What are certain skill sets that I can begin to acquire to be relevant in today's gig economy?
Okay, thank you so much, Jonas, for your question, and Eugene brought out all the points, right? So I think all the points that Eugene brought out are very relevant. It's something that I think for a stay-home mom, if you want to start taking on gig or you want to start coming out, right? I think those are the very important questions that you should ask yourself, right? I think Benjamin also mentioned, right? about what is the valuable skill sets that you have. So I think it does take some time for you to discover that, right? But it's a worthwhile effort, right? So what we usually actually share with in our workshops with the schools and all this, right, is really, take a moment, right? Sit down and think about your skill sets, right? What do you enjoy doing? Right? There is no point pushing you to do something, even if, let's say, like what Eugene mentioned, digital marketing is important, but you have no interest at all, absolutely no interest at all, and you still force yourself to do it, right? So that's not going to work. So the best point is to take a look, understand yourself. I would say understanding yourself is very important. Know what are the things that you enjoy doing, right? Do you like to write? Do you like to design? Do you like to daydream? What do you like to do, right? And then, like what Eugene mentioned, right? Once you list down at least 5 skills that you think you can convince someone to pay you to do that job for them, right? Then you should test the market, right? And with all the digital platforms, social media platform out there right now, there's really no reason for anyone to say, oh, I can't find anyone to pass it on, right? You can set out your own blog, set out your own website, go to LinkedIn, try to connect with people, go back to your old friends. And Benjamin was saying, right, some of the referral comes from friends that he has never met for 10 years, right? So all these are connection, like what Eugene mentioned, is important. Think about, 5 lists of skill sets that you think people will pay you for. Test it with whatever network that you have. Then lastly, build connection, build relationship, build trust. So I think for anyone who actually want to survive, right? I think all of us here has been more than 5 years into this, right? So we all know trust and reputation are the single most important things that you want to build up for yourself if you want to build a sustainable and rewarding freelance career. Right? But yet it is something that takes long time to build up, but just need you to do 1 or 2 things wrong, and that's it. Your whole reputation is gone. So these are some of the considerations that I think you need to think about this seriously, right? And of course, at the end of the day, one of the things that I would also mention, right, that a lot of people actually didn't really think about it when they jumped into it, right, was really the money management part of it, especially for the millennials and the young people, right? They always say, oh, I have this skill set, I want to be a director, right? I want to set up, I want to do a 1 million feature film, right, on this and this and this. But like what Benjamin will probably share with you as well, it is so difficult to make film in Singapore. So even if you're passionate about it, I think the question that you then need to ask yourself is, can it make money, right? And how are you going to survive during the ups and downs? Like Eugene mentioned, right, 8 months, a 5K project. How do you think that has worked out? Actually, if you break it down in monetary sense, right, it doesn't work out at all. $5,000 for 8 months of your effort, right? Actually, it's a project that you shouldn't even start, actually, if you look back at it. But of course, if it's something that you do on a gig, it's something that you just want to try out, then fine, right? But if it's a sustainable, you can't make it in a sustainable career with a 5,000 job for 8 months. So you really need to think about how much money you need, right, to actually get started, how long you can survive without making a single cent, right? But yet can tong for at least 8 months until the next project comes in. So I think all these are very valid questions, and a lot of the people tend to forget. Actually, making money is the most important thing you want to think about.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jace. I love how practical you bring the angle in, right? And I think in today's economy, in entrepreneur terms, they have this word called iteration, where even if my first, my first service or product is not yet at the best, just put it out, just offer, because it's only when I get feedback, it's then when I know, oh, I should tweak this a bit, or this one sells, this one, even though I think it's my best cookie, nobody wants, for example, because it's no longer personal about what you think, it's really about feedback that we get from the market forces, and allow demand to tell us what they value and how much they will pay. And then everything else can tweak along the way, right? Whether the price or whether the bundle and how it looks. But would I be right to say that the first thing is really to be comfortable to put yourself out, because you can be inside the kitchen creating the best things, the whole family smell the wonderful aroma, but if it's not out, no money come in. So then it's not considered a business if there is no money, right? That's one of the basics.
So on this point, right, there is, I just feel very tickled to share this point, right? When we walk past the famous Amos, they always have a sign there, free smell.
Yes.
Right? And that's exactly what it is, right? You need to let people know what you are doing, right? And I'm sure Ben will share more. I mean, he's doing a lot of content and all that, which is relevant.
Yes.
I mean, I'll add to that. Like, honestly, before I started my content creation business, I've been making videos and content for about 10 years. But honestly, a lot of the content is just in my computer, because I was just too afraid to put it on social media, to put myself out there because of or criticism, or people have to comment their own 5 cent, 10 cent on my own writing, right? But it was only until I decided like about 3.5 years ago that, you know what, this is my skill and I really want to make something out of it. Then I have to, take the courage and start properly posting my content online. And yeah, it's always going to be difficult at the beginning, right? But if you don't start somewhere, you can never get anywhere, right?
And I love what you're sharing, and I want to bring this because I do know you, right?
Yeah.
I think Ben, right, is someone who struggled initially even with acceptance. And I think that's where the conversation I want to bring in, where a lot of millennials today, they have something, but they're unsure, right? I mean, we are all never sure. And then because the uncertainty sort of like holds us back, are you sure people will want? Is the market ready? I don't think there's a niche. And then we doubt and second guess ourselves so much that years go by. But you chose to... Yours was humor, right? Something that you enjoy is humor. Are people ready? Don't know. But what was that pivotal point for you where you were like, let's just put it out. Let's transfer the content in my laptop out and get feedback.
Right. So the big thing was I've been wanting to do it for years, right? But it's like I was, in school, I was doing university, I was like still working around freelance. And so there was no pushing factor, to be honest, right? But once I finished uni, and I realized I was trusted into the working world proper, right? Proper. Although I've been doing freelance, but it's always the, I still in school, okay.
Study was your main job.
Yeah, this is just pocket money. But when I realized, oh no, I really need to start thinking about income and proper career path, right? So that was the pushing factor, to be honest. That was a kicking factor to like, all right, it's time for you to man up, Ben, and just do something about your skill set. And that's when, of course I had to take a week and a couple of weeks to actually meditate and say, you know what, once I'm out there, I'm out there. My content is in the media world, it's going to be there forever, and people are forever going to see me as this, and I must be ready for it. Like, I'm just ready to accept that, that I will make some videos that I'm not proud of, but I should be proud of my work nonetheless. And that's what I respect, even with other content creators or freelancers or, people in the gig economy. Like, not everything they know they do is 100% great, but if they can still be proud of what they do and learn to grow, then
I love what you share about taking that 1 week to meditate and to actually be internally prepared for potential backlash or haters. Because I think sometimes, right, people are not prepared. They think everything they post out will be like the family environment. Oh, very good, very positive. And then they put something out and then somebody say, ayo. And then they, So I think that mental preparedness that you did on yourself is remarkable because it shows me two things, right? Number one, that you are in for the long haul. It's not just going out to test, but for you were prepared. I'm going to put myself out. Like me or hate me, this is me, right? And then the second one is, and I'm going to be here for the long haul, and I'm going to hone my craft. So I think in just burning the bridges, so to speak, you don't give yourself a back road in that sense, right? And so you are all in. And the attitude is really what makes the difference, right? Compared to when I'm straddling both boats. And then the mindset could be, if this one failed, I still got another one. And so I'm never fully vested in my gig. So
actually, Ben, imagine you started a YouTube channel 10 years ago before that content. Today you'll be a Mr. Beast, man.
Maybe, right?
Probably.
No, still not too late.
Because, and actually, for those of you who don't know, I want to say this. While we may not have started on YouTube, I mean, Ryan, right? This 7 years old, he was 6 when he started, earning 12, 15 million a year just because he was on YouTube early. That's all. That's the power of first mover advantage. So Ben here, I know him. On TikTok, you have more than what? 100,000 or 120 followers. So I think there will always be different platforms. YouTube is one. Instagram is another, but TikTok, right, is yet another one, right, that is up and coming. And the thing about TikTok is it caters to today's audience, the millennials especially, because it's so short. 15 to 30 seconds, cram as much information as you can, put it in, entertain people or create value.
So just to add on to Junior's point, right, I think right now the platforms are there, right? So there's no excuse to say that, I cannot reach 1 million people, right? So the world is literally flat, right? But I think what was holding a lot of people back in terms of that was really, do I want to put myself on camera? Right? Not everyone is comfortable to put themselves in front of camera and do the thing that they want to do. That's one. Second is, how do I sustain it, right? Because if you were to embark on this journey of building your reputation and your trust on social media platform, then it's not going to be a one-day effort, right? It's not going to even be 1 month effort. It's going to be in for the long haul, right? And then do I have enough content to sustain myself, right? To actually post every day. Actually, if you really want to gain traction fast, Benjamin will share with you, you need to post at least once a day, right? That is actually already very minimal already. It's not, you should post as much as possible, as many times as possible, so as to beat the algorithm. The algorithm recognize you, you'll be the top list of search when people is there, right? So I think those are things are there already. The problem is, or rather I won't say the problem, but of course the challenge is understanding what you want to do, right? And then altering it, tailoring it to your use, right? Because you don't want to be like a Ryan, right? And then get your kids to, hey, just play, and then I'll just, you want to try to be a Ryan. You don't want to try to be other people. So I think on social media, very important is to be authentic. So I'm sure Benjamin is a funny person. That's why it comes true, right? So if you try to act, then that is very strange, right? Because people who know you would then, hey, she's not like that when I meet up with her.
Unless you're a very good actress. And that is a passion that,
Yep. That's a skill set actually.
So, and I love what you're saying, Jace, because I think very often we tend to copy people. Wow, his model works, so I think I should find a wig. And this is real, by the way. And then we find a wig and we try to copy the formula. But the formula that works for him, that works for Jace, that works for Eugene, may not work for Junior, because I am my own person with my own giftings, with my own passion and interest and following. And trust, right, that each of us will be able to connect to a tribe that connects. And I think the key word, Jace, is really authenticity. Because I think that is what people can sniff out so quickly. And people are not attracted to just a pretty Barbie doll anymore. People are attracted, am I right? I mean, people are attracted, right, to real things that we talk about, and especially we dare to be vulnerable. Because I think in this, to me, when I say in this VUCA age, what will arise more and more is the re-emergence of the need to truly connect. Even if I don't connect with you face to face, I can connect with what you're saying, what you stand for, your message.
I think the thing is also to recognize, right, that you cannot please everyone, right? There are people who hate you, there are people who love you, like Eugene loved me and tried to market for me, that kind of thing. So there'll be people who agree with you. So I think the thing is, before you start this, you really have to tell yourself, like what Benjamin mentioned, right? You just don't have to think about the negative things, right? Just accept that there will be people who doesn't like you for who you are, for what you are, and just accept it. You cannot get everyone to agree to you, but the main thing is whether you really want to do this, right? Because if you are going to give up halfway, then I said, then don't start, right? Because it just shows people that you're not persistent, you're not resilient, you doesn't understand it. So I think it's the thinking through that you need.
I like to say, I mean, together, like what you said, even Mother Teresa, even Gandhi, there are people, no matter how good your intentions are, people will always, do it for you. I think the main thing is do it for you. If that is your truth and your north, right, your true north, and something that you want to contribute to the world, just do that without looking back. And I think the lesser external validation we need, the easier it is for us to just keep going and going and going. Yeah.
Actually, Ben is the inspiration to us. So after today's session, both our hairstyle will look like him. Right?
Okay. Wait. But here's
maybe Eugene.
Maybe Eugene. Okay. But something that I want to say, right, is really it's not just some people are comfortable on camera. But I want to also say, if you're not, I know of successful people who just create videos, just video, and they put that out, and that's how they sell.
No, and you doesn't even need to put yourself there.
You
so
don't.
if you love piano, you just play piano, right? And then you just
Exactly.
finger
So your fingers,
piano.
that's right.
Exactly.
Come to Ben will tell you 1,001 way to do it without showing your face.
Unless your fingers ugly, but that's besides the point, right? So
So I think at the end of it, right, it's really as we look at what people are doing, get maybe inspiration from that, but don't follow. Create something that is really about you, uniquely you, and it will change. I mean, the Mumspace logo last year was so different from what it is today, and I'm sure that we'll do many other iterations. But continue to put yourself out there, because the more you put yourself out there, the more feedback you get, and from there is where we then change. We just keep changing course.
Actually, just to add one point, right? Thank God for technology where we have social media scheduling tools. One shot we can shoot out to all the social media. Imagine, we are in the time where we don't have all these tools. We have to post separately, and that's a chore, right?
So so talking about tool, right? I think it's no longer just putting it up, right? It's actually understanding the algorithm. It's actually understanding how the platform works. It's actually understanding the people, your target audience, right? So each platform serves different demographics. Like, so TikTok is actually for people who are from 17 years old to maybe 21, 22, and increasingly more. Right? Facebook, now they call it the old
people.
old social
Old
media.
people.
Right? Only meant for PMETs and older people, you know.
Yeah.
Then of course Instagram is the gap, right? Where you want to get the so I think it's no longer just enough knowing that I need to post it out. It's about finding, and then another platform is LinkedIn, right? Which is a very powerful P2P tool. So I think it's about knowing
How about
who
YouTube,
is your target audience. Okay,
YouTube seems to,
I think YouTube is very much video.
It's more long form lah.
Yeah, exactly. It's more long form.
too long form, right?
So unless you are into video lah, because if not, then you will not create enough content.
Yeah.
And then they even have Clubhouse.
Yeah,
Oh,
Clubhouse
that was purely audio.
Yeah. I mean, of course, there's Twitter as well, but I think for Singapore, I mean, okay,
Twitter
then
we don't do a lot.
It's
the
correct, we don't do
market
a lot.
that we
It's the
want to
market,
reach out to.
correct.
Yes,
It's the market, it's your target audience, it's who you want to reach out to, right? And how you want to speak to those people, right?
Okay, so now I have a question for us. How much can I earn from the gig economy, right? I mean, at the end of it, so
Okay, not much, guys. Yeah, so no, I won't be here. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so Eugene, if I were to ask you, right, because I think each of you come from very different angles. So for yours, right, what kind of income can I expect if I'm just starting out? Probably a particular skill set, like yours is search engine optimization. Yeah, how much?
Actually, I always love this question, and I always share this question when freelancers ask me, because it's really about your positioning. Okay, so let me qualify that. So if let's say Junior, you know approach me how to do website and all that. So I will churn out a quotation to you, and my quotation is from a Eugene Tan. So if my quotation is from a Eugene Tan, how much can I charge you? $500, $600 for a website? Because I'm seen and perceived as a
sole proprietor, individual,
as a freelancer, not even a sole proprietor. So if let's say you guys are serious in really doing the gig, what you can do is you can form a sole proprietor company, and you can go to any bank like Maybank, you know, OCBC and all that, get a company account. Then now my quotation to you is ABC Digital. Right, ABC Digital, I can afford to charge website 2,005. So same effort. Yeah, same effort. One is perceived as lower because I am issuing the quotation to you as Eugene Tan. Right. So this is a valuable tip to all our mummies, right? So if you really want to do it, even if you're not sure, just try to set up like a sole proprietor. At the end of the day, you just do very simple accounting. And most of the time when you are just starting out, you will just declare that your company is not making money because you are doing very little gigs to begin with, right?
I last listened to this.
That's why.
But generally, right?
Not true, okay? Yeah, people who make money pay taxes.
Yeah, definitely, right? No, but seriously, right? Especially when you are busy at work and you're just starting out, and like 1 year, 1 month you just do one gig. Of course, you have to do a proper accounting, but chances are you are not making money in the first year. Especially because you are starting out, you're not sure, then you get involved in a community like this, and they say, hey, got job or not? You know, something like that. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's my input.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I just want to add on to what Eugene mentioned, right? So I think at least for Singapore, two things that we will always tell freelancers, don't forget, right? Even when you are starting out, you don't forget, right? The two government organizations that you must keep at the back of your mind. One is CPF. The other one is IRAS, right? So don't assume that just because you are individual, you don't need to pay tax. That's not true. Please find out all the tax obligations and all this. Then another one is, of course, CPF, right? And don't assume that just because you're paying yourself, you don't need to pay CPF. So you still have to do medisure, right? Yeah, medisure contribution, all this. So please, if you are actually going to embark on this journey, right, please check out those two organizations, which is very important for your own protections, and also, you know, just make sure that you don't run into the wrong side of the law lah.
And definitely you got to balance the books lah. That's for sure.
And honestly, even MediShield, we are getting 4% interest rate on whatever we put in, and that's money for us to use. You know, even if we don't.
And if you're a millennial, right, you want to buy a house, right? If you don't have CPF, how do you buy a house? Right, so I think all these are very practical questions that you need to think about it. No matter what stage, whether you're stay-at-home mom, millennials, and all this, right, you need to think about your own protection of your company, protection of yourself, and also most importantly, protection of your families. Right, in the event anything happens, right, then what's going to happen, right? So I think all these are very valid questions that you need to think through before you actually jump into this.
Wonderful.
Sorry.
Thank you. And along when you talk about protection, the one thing that comes to mind is maybe sole proprietorship, right? The difference between LLP, limited liability, is that is limited by the amount that you put in, you declare, right, in the company account. But sole proprietorship, they can come to me, my entire family house, you know, even. So just understand these distinctions when you set up a company, because it makes a big difference, you know. One wrong signature could cause you unnecessary issues.
So one of the
Yes,
questions that
LLP.
we got a lot is from freelancers or people who want to start doing freelancing, right? Is, do I necessarily have to set up a company? So the answer is no, right? It doesn't mean that you want to start being self-employed or you want to freelance. You have to set up a company with Accra. We're talking about formal business structure, right? But of course, we did it, or most people will do it eventually for a lot of reasons. For tax reason, because the tax is different, right? And then for security reason, for protection, for image, even like what Eugene mentioned, right? ABC web development charges more than Eugene Tan. So I think it's all this consideration why people set up a business structure, right? But it's not a necessary, because I get this question a lot, right? It doesn't mean that you want to start freelance, means that you have, right? In Singapore, under the MOM directive, right, is you can freelance as an individual. So you are considered as a self-employed, right? The only thing is you need to ensure that you know your obligations, you know your liabilities, you know what you're putting yourself into when you choose that mode of business operations.
And along those lines, I want to ask you, because Creatives at Work is really not a marketplace, but an agency where you sort of like, you know, I mean, the analogy I would give is as a tutor, as an agency, I get different tutors under me. So that is the equivalent of what you do, except that you have different freelancers under Creatives at Work. So can you share, is there a rate calculator when we talk about how much do I expect?
Okay, so I think going back to this question about, you know, charging and all this, right? I think Eugene is very kind to give that example, but I think for me, right, you know, I got asked that question a lot as well for freelancers, right? So I always throw it back to them with a question, right? Is that how can you convince someone to pay you for what you want to do, right? If you yourself are even not convinced that someone would pay me to do this, then why would another person trust you to do that, right? So I think those are very basic questions that you need to sort it out already yourself, and no one else can do it for you. You just have to do it for yourself, right? And going back to Junior's question about the rate calculator, I mean, if you go to our website, CreativeAtWork.Asia, we have actually designed a rate calculator. But to be fair and to be transparent, right, we did that rate calculator really for fun of it, right? You know, it's just to get our freelancers understand that, you know, when you're calculating your rate, there's actually a lot of other factors that you need to put into considerations. But there is so many ways of calculating your rates, right? There's our calculator is actually based on cost base. So basically is for you to actually identify what are some of the costs that you incur in running your business, right? And then you know, estimating how much you want to make in a year, and then break it down to the number of hours that you want to work in a year, right? And then we get that value, right, that you should be charging for every hour that you spend on working, right? So that is actually a very, I would say most calculator that you come across actually uses that format, which is what we call the cost-based method in terms of calculating your rates, right? But I think going beyond just cost base, there's actually other ways of doing it as well. Of course, there's a profit margin base, right? Basically is when you get a project, you just estimate how much cost you need, and then you just top it up by 20%, right? So just use that as a profit margin. That's actually another way as well. But what actually we have been actually advocating in the last, I would say at least 5-6 years, right, is actually value-based pricing. So as a freelancer, when you first start out, probably you have no choice, right? You're going to start from, you know, whatever rates you consider. So market-based pricing is actually another method as well, right? But of course, market-based pricing is very subjective, right? So what is market rate, right? At the end of the day, if you look at it, it's what people is willing to pay you for what you do for them.
I guess I guess it's really about the perceived value. Like a website is just a website, but who are you? How well positioned are you to bring across the website? That is perceived value. So I mean, just give an example. A website in the market can be as cheap as maybe 500, all the way to even 8,000 to 10,000.
If you go Fiverr, it's even cheaper than 500.
Yeah, perceived value.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that.
But actually, just to add on to what Eugene mentioned about the perceived value, I think it's a little bit more than that, right? Value-based pricing is really understanding the value that you bring to your clients, right? And it is not just on yourself, right? You could think, about the perceived value of yourself, that I'm worth $100 an hour. But the test is, does anyone pay you $100 for your 1 hour? Right? Does it worth it? Right? So I think those are the things that you need to think about. And that's where I think eventually value-based pricing is going to be the main differentiating factor for freelancers, whether you make it or not.
And I think that's something that I want to point out too, because I think our education system, the reality is it doesn't prepare us for this value-based pricing kind of concept. Because very often, right, it's, how do I say, we are taught now, you get X amount for whatever, and this is your job scope. But I think as we switch into the gig economy, your job scope shifts, you know. In setting up a business, it's multiple skills that I need to either have or be willing to pay someone either on Fiverr or to barter with someone. Sometimes it's not just about money, but in collaboration, it could be, hey, Jace, your skill set is making a website. You do a website for me, but let me create video for you, for example. And then with Eugene, can you do search optimization for me? And then I will create the video for you. So I think in this kind of collaborative mindset is how we can create value, and it's not just measured in money, right? It can be barter as we start.
Yeah, so I think that's a very good way. So I will just add on to it, right? I think barter is a good way to go for anyone who's just starting out, right? So in exchange, you know, for the service. And actually, you know, even if we look into the centuries, right, people started with that. Businesses started with that, right? It all started with bartering before it turns into cash-based, right? But I think what I want to bring this discussion about value-based pricing a little bit more, right, is not also, I mean, it's important, right? It's the first step, right, about your skills and the value. But I think value stretches a little bit more than that. It's actually about accountability, and it's actually about not just the value, not just understanding the value you bring to your clients, but also how do you communicate that value to your clients' clients, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, businesses is very straightforward, right? Do I make money? Do I make enough sales, right? Can I make 2 times, 3 times revenue, right? So do you understand that part of the business transaction that your client is having, right? The conversation that your client is having with their clients, and how do you articulate that value, right? Do you actually even know, like, for example, I put out a social media post. I actually generate 2 times engagement than my average freelance digital marketer. Do you know that for a fact, right? Do you know that I'm actually the designer who, once I actually put my name to it, the design will sell by itself? Do you know that, right? So my question is, not only knowing the skills that you can bring, right, but you should take this a step further to also articulate what is the skill sets and quantify it, right? Quality, something that everyone cannot say. Like I cannot say, oh, Benjamin's this video is better than the other videos, right? But quantity, right? If I can show fact to say that, okay, these are my last 5 posts for my clients, all of them generate 100,000 impressions.
And I think it's about, it's also like what Jay shared about over time, trying to archive all the work that you do so that when you show the work to your future prospect, that value chain is already been built and established.
Yeah. So value-based pricing is like that, right? So if I know that I'm going to generate 100,000 impressions for you, right? Then what does that 100,000 impression cost to you, right? So if let's say the client said that, okay, actually 100,000 impression, I probably can convert a few, so you make about 10,000 for me, right? Then then I should not be based on the hour that I spend on doing your job. I should then be able to tell my client that, okay, that $10,000, I want 10%, I want 20%. Right? Because every time I do it for you, right, I create another $10,000 for you. So I want the 10% of that, right? And if I say that to Eugene, would you accept it? You will, right? You will not say, I don't want to pay you so much, I do it myself, right? But you don't have the credential to do it yourself.
Which is wonderful, because you shift the conversation away from just give me fixed amount for this work, man hours, because we talk about in the gig economy, it could take me 5 minutes, you know, to earn 5,000, but that is on me. That's the value that I created for me. So it's no longer measured by my man hours, because in the employment, right, it's by man hours, right? Clock in, clock out. But today, right, it's measured in the value that I create for my client and my client's client. And when we talk about value, right, I want to shift the conversation to the problem that we solve, right? Because value is measured not just quantitatively, but also, am I solving a problem, right? So, and before we go into that, Ben, I want to ask you, right? For someone who's just starting out, we talk about portfolio. I've got nothing to show. I've got no track record. I mean, it's great if I have a wonderful track record. How does someone who's just starting out begin to put together something that I could just start by earning a bit and then increase that?
So, well, I guess it starts with like, using social media. First things first, right? It's free, right? Use it for whatever skill set you have. Let's give an example, a designer, right? You love to draw, you're great at drawing, you're great at creating things, but you don't have any proven projects that you've done for other people. It's always for yourself. But I think you still can use social media to post your current whatever you've done for yourself, for example, to showcase that this is your skill. And then from there, say, all right, I'm willing to I'm starting to really get serious into making this a business. So your first few projects, you can maybe give all right, we just do a barter, like you said. I will draw something for you. Maybe you give me something in return, or I'm willing to do it for. I hate to say it, but yes, a lot of people, I think the creative industry will say, okay, I'm willing to do the first 3 projects for free per se, to use that as proof that hey, I created this for clients.
Because and I think there's no shame in that,
right.
Because even the opportunity to be able to say, hey, I have this brand as my ex-client, I mean, people don't need to know the transaction that happened, right? But it's opportunity that you gave me, and for me to then showcase my talent.
True, especially when you're just starting, right? I mean, no one else needs to know that you did it for free,
Yes.
But you can say, hey, this is I did for X client or this client, and sometimes the client might be a well-known name, right? So it helps your case, right? But yeah, it's about, I guess, if you can afford it to do something like for free for the first few projects, just to get your portfolio out there, then by all means, as a beginner or starting out, you should lah. Like that's what I did when I was younger, right? Starting out, I just did free hosting, I did free emceeing, I did free, I told my friends, don't worry, don't pay me, I will do it. I just want people to know that I can host. I can go up there, I'm not afraid of camera.
And I think, to be very frank, right, when you first start, there are so many skills that you haven't honed yourself, right? And then there are mistakes that we make. And I think the humility to put ourselves out there is something to be applauded. It's something that, instead of staying in the safe zone of never getting feedback, to put ourselves out there and then, hey, next time I want to improve on the way I look at the camera, my better side, things like that. And then we give ourselves that space. There's no pressure, because I think very often when we charge people, then there's the expectation, right? Because I take your money,
I think one thing I want to share is that, so I came from art school, right? And think about artists, let's put it this way, most of artists, we feel that everything we post out there has to be perfect, and that's what I realized from my classmates is a lot of them, they are very slow to start gigs because they're like, oh no, it's not perfect, or I can't do it because I don't think I can do it, I haven't reached that level yet. But I think I was blessed to adopt the fact that I told myself, hey, you know what, I realized that no, every year I'll just get better. Like if I look back at when I first started my business in 2018, sometimes I can't even look at the videos anymore. I'm like, oh, I used to do that. I was very happy with it, but yeah, in the end, this who I am, and I can see I've grown, and actually people will see my portfolio and say, Ben has grown, and people know that at least I'm a serious person. I'm serious business. I'm actually trying to become better and better, as opposed to everything just perfect, right?
So I think what Ben has brought out is like, how do you define freelancer? I mean, what kind of freelancers do you want to be, right? So usually the artist people, what we call them the artisan freelancers, right? So basically, it's really not about the money, but it's really about your work, right? How best you can do your work, right? So I think that's fine as well if you choose that as your mode of operations, right? Then of course, there's those what we call the pure freelancers, and then that's what I would say the focus of the discussion here, and then there's what we call the transition freelancers, right? People who actually want to just take freelancing for a while, but eventually will go back to the place, right? So for example, we work with a lot of creative writers, right? I know my creative writers, right? They always need to take this what they call time off, right? To actually, embrace themselves with nature, so that they grow their creativities, they become a better writer when they come back. Right? So I think there's actually different ways of running your freelance business, and actually, don't get wrong, I'm not trying to advocate one kind of freelancing pathway, right? There's actually 1,000 ways of doing it, right? Every ways will lead to Rome, right? In that sense, all roads lead to Rome. So it's really about yourself, right? And if you feel that you want to be an artist, you want to be an artisan freelancer, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But if you want to be a businessman like Ben, there's nothing wrong with it as well, right? So I think you just need to embrace who you are and how you want to do that.
Because I think different people are different. Some people, an additional 500 is wow, and I can only afford the time for 500, and I'm happy with that. So then we don't need to say, then I need to make 50,000. But likewise, if you're ambitious, go all the way, push yourself, test the limits of how much you can make. right? And then, because I think at the end of it, this is just one avenue for us to be really hone our personal skills and the value that we create. So bringing the conversation to problem solving, right? Because I think very often the one who solves the biggest problem will actually get remunerated the best. So Eugene, can you share a bit with us on how we can begin to switch that mindset as parents, because I think a lot of parents are listening in, so that we can begin to create opportunities for our children to start problem solving automatically now, so that next time it's not something that I need to consciously do, but in the quadrant, it's unconscious competence already, where people are like, oh, don't know how to do. Easily, they come up with so many creative ideas.
I think mainly the key to problem solving is this. A lot of people are not even problem aware to begin with.
Wonderful.
Right?
Yes.
And it is the process that especially when you are doing things for some time, you actually feel that your way of doing things is correct or things like that. So I think the thing about problem solving is we probably need to kind of take a step back and trying to identify where is the problem. And this is key, right? In terms of being able to identify the problem and coming in our consultancy with our client, either as a freelancer or either as a company, that we can now tell our client, I'm not offering you a problem of just solving you by providing you a website, but I'm providing a lead generation problem. Your problem begins with your business. You have a website, your website is not getting visitors, right? And it's not about just changing the website just because the previous vendor, the design and all this kind of thing. So I used to say, right, when clients tell me, oh, I want to shift this, shift that. So my answer to them is, do you want a very nice website that nobody visits, or do you want a website that has visitors, right? So I think the key step of problem identification is then we can create that value chain that Jay's talked about, and then we can create all those creative content that Ben has talked about, the different type of formats. Then we can look at the scheduling to get the best engagement. Then we can look at the client branding, whether it's on point or something like that, right? So I guess for parents, the advice would be to let your child try as much as they want. So I used to kind of my girl loves to draw at a very young age. So we used to watch a particular YouTube video to achieve a particular drawing, right? And what we do is we will pause the video a few times and then we'll draw together. And I'm glad that I decided to do that years ahead in the early years. Today she's like drawing all those manga kind of level, which is yes, she has surpassed me, but I'm happy for her, right? Because I was there to kind of nurture the qualities at a young age. So I guess it's about also identifying what your kids like, right? From a parenting angle. Yeah. I'll stop here because this is not a parenting forum. But having a dimension that just adding a dimension to the earlier conversation where Ben said about building portfolio, that's an excellent sharing. But as a freelancer, a lot of things there's a slight blind spot that I personally found, which is also to build your database of testimonials. I've only started to build my database of testimonials in the last only 1.5 years, right? I've been around over 10 years, right? But I've only in the last 1.5 years built a testimonial. But I think testimonial is important to get that, to achieve that value chain as well.
And yes. I think that's very important because Jay talks about having your track record. Yes. But while a track record may say, hey, I got this amount of impressions for you, I'm very clear. Testimonials is the quality of it, right? Because different gigs may be different, right? But this is one other way of showing my then track record.
Yes.
So thank you, because I love what you say about problem aware. Most of us go through life not even aware of problems, then how to solve, right? So I think that's a very critical first step in starting that opening up our eyes to
Here's
looking.
The problem, right? Which I may share. that a lot of companies say, okay, I engage this guy as, web designer. This guy does SEO. This guy does like Facebook marketing for me. It's 3 or 4 different companies. And as a business owner, you are not that good in marketing, and you trust all these companies to run for you, and they run separate campaigns. That is the problem, right? A lot of SMEs are like that, they go for cheap and all that, and there's no integrated approach. And you can ask our dear content guy, right? If there's no integrated approach, today you talk about this, today you talk about that, then there's no consistency, right?
Just to plug in, that's where CreativesAtWork come in, right?
Yes.
So we have, we can get the freelancers to come in to help you to bring all this together under one house. But just want to add on to the problem solving part, right? I think it is really a mindset. I think Eugene has brought out a very good point about identifying the problems, being problem aware. I guess right now, I think a lot of us already know that it's going to be a very chaotic world ahead of us, right? Whether we like it or not, this is the new world. I think the challenge then is how do we prepare the younger generation, whether is it for parents or even for us, right? When we look out for freelancers, new freelancers, what are some of the attitudes, what are some of the qualities that we are looking in them. And I must say, unfortunately, problem solving doesn't come overnight, right? It's something that you just need to believe, right? That other being problem aware of what's going on, right? And you just need to believe and be confident, right? That you already have what you need to take, right, to embark on this journey. So all you need to do is to take the challenge as it comes. So I think the things with a lot of freelancers when they first started is not knowing what challenges that they will face eventually. But I would say that's not an excuse already, because if you go, with Google, right, you just Google anything and everything, right? You can just Google the top 10 challenge every freelancer will face. And then there was 1,000 articles written on it. So there's really no reason for you to say, I don't know what I'm putting myself into. I don't know what the challenges. And to be frank, all the challenges are common challenges, right? We all make, the only difference is how do you react to it, right? Do you already make the preparation to prepare yourself for these challenges that you will face, right? Whether is it in the first year of your business, second year of the business, and third year of the business. And the thing is, the better you are at solving every challenges and the problem, the better you become, right? You become more successful, you become more confident, and you can tackle a bigger problem, right? And the problem grow even further. Every one of us will face problems, whether it's our personal life, corporate life, running our own business, right? But the challenge is really having that kind of mindset to tell yourself that you already put yourself there, you know what it is, right? So it's really about problem of tackling it, and actually this is where I think a community actually helps, right? So networking, community will actually help you to overcome this, because I've seen a lot of community, and of course, especially during the COVID period, right? Especially the first 3 months of circuit breaker, nobody knows what happened. And if you remember, for the creative industry, everything stopped. But then suddenly every gig got cancelled, right? Nobody can go out, everyone had to stay at home. So what happened? So this is where the community is even more important, right? So you can ask each other questions, you can actually look for projects to work with one another. When you have this community that that you can rely to, you just post any questions, someone will genuinely come on board and give you what may not be the best advice, but definitely something that someone is doing that, right? And the very fact that people respond to you, right? Actually, then suddenly you'll feel, so I'm not the only one who is having this problem. So thank God, luckily.
I think that's the importance of a culture. And the way I would liken is literally having as many hands and legs on the ground. Because instead of, I think the old way of doing business is individual, very protective, very competitive, me, I, myself, I win, everyone else. But as we move into the VUCA world, it's literally, we all don't know what's going to come, And, the analogy that I would give, right, is when there was a tsunami, all the animals, prey and predator began to climb the same hill, because everyone realized, it is together. The prey and predator is no more their enemy, the flood is. So I think if we can begin to shift our mindset to say, in today's VUCA world, it's not about you and me pitting against each other, but it's how we can collaborate. Because then someone someone is the eyes, the hands, the legs, hey, there's an opportunity here, or hey, I found this, or be careful of that. And I think the larger we are part of a community, it's really the emotional journey together, where it's no longer just an individual doing what they do alone, but it's really sharing the entire experience, and joy is always multiplied when we share it. So in closing, right, Ben, I want to ask you, what is one advice you want to leave our audience with?
Don't be scared. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Like, I think that's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the journey of 1,000 miles, start with one step, right? And if I don't take that one step, no matter how wobbly, shaky, or small, just put your first video out. Do that, right? Today, whatever it is. For you, Eugene, what's that one advice?
I guess the important thing of it all is to be confident in what you are doing. Because when you have the confidence and when you talk to people, your confidence will shine through. I just give you a short analogy. I've been doing training and all that. Got once that, I was, people told me to train for 50. When I came, I was shocked. Then I asked myself one question: Eugene, are you good at training people to set up website? And I said yes. And then my passion or my confidence took over.
So passion.
Yes, passion,
confidence, right? Know your worth, know your value. Jace, one last advice?
Well, I would say don't regret it, right? I have a lot of friends, who actually regretted, not doing certain things earlier, things like that. So I would say that if you are thinking about doing it, right, maybe you should not be listening to us. Don't think too much. Just do it, right? So just don't regret, right? Just at least you try it, because if you don't try, you never know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So with that, you've heard, be confident, just do it, and don't live with what if, right? Because that's definitely not the way we want to live our lives.
Yeah.
So put yourself out there and see it as the entire learning experience for yourself. With that, I trust it was most insightful. Our next panel session is on branding. So we've just talked about gig, right? But how do you create your unique brand to stand out from all the noise and from everyone else? So as the next panel comes on, I will be handing you over to the beautiful Charlene, who will be giving away our prizes. And with that, see you soon. Bye.
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 Thank you, Junior. I hope that was a very powerful session for me. It was indeed for me. Today, we're going to give away some prizes kindly sponsored by our panelists. Eugene will be giving out the SEO class. So if you like this prize, key in SEO in the chat group. It's worth $500, this SEO certification class that's UK accredited. And for this, the other prize that we're giving is the Business of Freelancing book. It's worth $59.98. And comment book, if you like this book by Jace Tam, this book will be for you if you comment in the chat group. Book, all right? Key in there. For the tonight, we're going to have a marketplace. Marketplace is going to be very fun because it's going to be a working mother's indulgence. You're going to have lots of flash deals, offers, even Christmas hampers by Engineer. We have Stabilio's prizes that's giving out. In fact, now we're going to give you one more bonus prize, which is by Stabilio. It is the Boss Desk set, which is worth $27. If you like to engage your children during the school holidays and you would like to win this set, key in Desk set and stand a chance to win that. Okay, we'll be getting ready for the next panel very shortly. But meanwhile, if you haven't also already, upgrade your passes to the VIP passes. We have 12 master classes coming up in the following year. And these classes will be in-depth knowledge and information shared by our experts. They're going to share more information, in-depth information, and you will definitely learn a lot from these sessions. It's just $68, but if you tune in tonight, you might win one of these prizes for free, including the VIP passes. So we go for a short break, and you will see the next panel very shortly.